Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Welcome back to yet another Get Your Shit Together weekly life guidance with myself, Yana Kasperczak, that I do typically live in this group, Heal the Unicorn Emotional Healing and Spiritual Growth for Women. But today I am actually recording it so that way I can enjoy the time and the holidays with my family with the least amount of distractions and anything and everything to do with work. Because I believe it is important for each and every one of us to take breaks and give ourselves that time off, especially those of you who are building your business. When you have a 9 to 5 job, it comes with benefits such as anywhere between 1 to 5 weeks of vacation, maybe even more weeks of vacation, and you take them and you get paid while you're there. But when you build a new business, there's different ways to make sure that everything is going and flowing while you take a little bit of a seat back and a step back to give yourself the time and the space to just be present and spend time with yourself and with your loved ones. So, as always, your loyal host for this Get Your Shit Together weekly life guidance. My name is Yana Kasperczak, and I'm your certified professional performance and spiritual awakening core energy coach. And it has been my soul's purpose to help women, to help you get your shit together so you can break free from that mental prison you find yourself in and build a life, a business, and or a career that you are obsessed with. And today's topic that I wanted to talk about and share with each and every one of you is I want to talk about how to break free from the good girl mold and show up authentically. So, within this good girl mold, there are parts of you that are authentic, but there's also a lot of parts that are not authentic to you. And they're based on the expectations of others and the programming that you received throughout your life before you even was born, and which was passed down to you from previous generations as well through your ancestors. And here you are now with these default programs that are default and causing you to feel like there's a fault happening. And it's your job to clear that fault in that system, or faults within that system, within that program, so you can run clearly and authentically as yourself. So it really does start with understanding that the mold itself is not a bad thing. It's not a bad mold. And there are many parts of it that are great, that are amazing, that shape you and will shape your life and the rest of your life as well. And breaking free from the good girl mold is about shedding those expectations that keep you small, that keep you quiet, that keep you silent, or that keep you overly accommodating. Um, Sometimes even the word or the phrase doormat comes to mind, and it keeps you from stepping into your power and your into your true authentic power. So here's how you do it. Number one is awareness. Becoming aware of this mold, recognizing where the good girl shows up in your life, how she shows up, reflecting on those moments where you prioritize people pleasing over your own truth, over your own needs, over your own wants. And it comes from a place of avoiding conflict and wanting to keep peace. and not wanting to hurt anyone, or maybe it comes from a place of feeling guilt for wanting more, or feeling unworthy or undeserving of speaking up and then receiving. Because part of you knows that when you speak up and you say something to those that love you, they might actually give you what you want. A part of you does not feel like you deserve it. So it might be coming from that place. Awareness is one of the first, it's the first key to change. If you don't know what's up, how are you going to do anything about it? You need to know what's going on and exactly what's going on. This is where clarity takes place. So you got to become aware of how you're showing up as a good girl. When when you feel like you're walking on the eggshells and why you do that. It's all part of the awareness and an acknowledgement of the mold and its existence there. Now, the second step is you gotta accept it. Sitting around and whining and bitching and complaining and wishing that things were different and that you were different or other people were different to make your life easier, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to do anything. You must accept yourself as you are. And one of the great ways is radical acceptance, where if everything stays the same and you stay the same and nothing changes, are you going to be okay with that? Is this something you can live with? The answer is yes. Stay there. Live that way. Continue on that path, on that trajectory. The answer is no. Then what are you going to do about it? This is where rewriting your rules comes in play as well, where this good girl mold operates on the outdated rules. Um, like don't don't say anything or don't make waves. Always be nice, always be polite, always put others first. You gotta, as you're accepting who you were and who you are, you get to rewrite these things. And that's why it's part of the awareness as well, becoming aware of these messages, these rules that you're operating under or through, and challenge these rules and rewrite these rules in the way that you want. Now that you're aware it's there, and if you do nothing about it, you're doing it by choice. Because once you become aware of something and not do anything about it, then you choose to stay that way. You choose to keep it because you choose not to do anything about it. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, it's still a choice. A choice is a choice. And now that you also choose to not do anything about it yet because you're not ready, you don't feel like it, not yet, and for different variety of reasons and excuses. I have been there myself, I have done that, and I speak from firsthand experience and practice. So I'm an expert in procrastinating and self-sabotaging and avoidance behaviors, and I have identified them in myself and learn a thing or two and help many others to identify those within themselves and help them to learn a thing or two and grow and heal and evolve as a human being. So challenge these rules, rewrite these rules. The best way and the easiest way to do that is get a piece of paper, draw a line between the piece of paper, and write current rule, new rule. A current thought, new thought. This is where it really comes down to is a thought. Part of that is the story. Write down the current rule. You write it down. Okay, great. Across from it, what would you like the new rule to be that replaces that rule? Write that down. You can draw a line underneath because some of them might be, for me, I like um, symmetry. And this is where I'll draw a line because the first rule or the new rule, the current rule or the new rule, one of them might take a little bit more space than the other. So I'll draw a line underneath so that way to separate. And I know this is one right here. And then this is two, this is three, and this is four. And this is what you're going to do for all the rules that you uncover. And I'm sure you won't be surprised. And yet, part of you will still be surprised that there's enormous, enormous amount of rules. Even though initially you might feel like there's not that many that you have. But when you really start doing this work and keep coming back and keep adding to these lists, you'll be surprised and yet not surprised that there's a lot. You lived a long life and you'll be living even a longer life. And what you do with the rest of life matters. And it does depend on what you do with your today, what you do with your tomorrow, or what you do with your tomorrow after tomorrow, and then tomorrow after tomorrow. So if you want to live a certain life, you cannot sit around and wait for it to just happen for you, because it's not going to happen. You got to figure out what do you want to do today that will bring you closer to that desire, that dream life that you want to live tomorrow or a year from now. And do that every day consistently. If this is the exercise that speaks to you and you want to focus on that, you can focus on this exercise for 30 days, for 60 days, for 90 days. If you want real change, 90 days is recommended. This is why everything that we try to do, every program, mini program or a bigger program, is usually going to be around 30 days minimum. Well, except the 21-day challenge. Even though if you're taking it one lesson at a time, you'll end up completing it in 30 days, right? So a minimum of 30 days, but if you want real long-lasting change, it's 90 days. And after those 90 days, it's not over. You continue to revisit each lesson, one lesson at a time, and do the work again and again and again. Just because you did it once does not mean it's done, it's over with. When you uncover some of these messages that the good girl mold has, that the good girl within you carries, it's not once and done. It's something that you can do every single day and just think of one message. You think of one, you can think of a second, a third, and write these messages down. Sometimes you might have the same message come through, and that's fine. If it's the same message that comes through, write it down. And maybe the new message, the new rule would be a different one. Write the new one down in a different way. And don't do the copy paste, meaning like don't copy the one that you already had and like, oh, I already had that rule. Let me go and rewrite the same response. No, come up with a different one. And the different one might be the same one, but you're using your think box and not your copy box that you already have there. So keep doing this work. You really want to rewrite these messages? It's easy, it's simple, yet it will be internally challenging to show up for this part, for this type of work every single day. And to help you through that, maybe you can bring a small little crystal like this selenite to help you cleanse those dark energies and feel centered and cleansed and focused on whatever it is that you're doing. And obviously, this is not a little one, this is a really big one. Probably like 2, maybe 4 pounds here. Um, but it doesn't have to be a really big one. I like to say I got lucky, but at the same time, it's not luck, it's manifestation that This crystal came into my life when I really, really needed it, and it was just $16. Something I can brag about. $16 crystal that stays in there in my cabinet, which you can kind of see that it's open. There's a few little decorations in there. So it stays in my cabinet. Oh, the light gets stuck in there. And I take it out once in a while honestly, when it calls me. And today it called me, and I wanted to bust it out during this video, and I wasn't sure when. And I feel like this was like the perfect time. So we talked about awareness, we talked about acceptance and accepting it, and then ac part of you writing that rule is you accept that old rule, and then you rewrite it. Um, and then the next one would be choice. Actually, let's with the new rules, let's ask a couple of more questions that will help you to heal and let go of some of these rules. So the first question I would ask is, who benefits from this rule? Who is this rule really for? Who benefits from this rule? Kind of like two-part question. And who is this rule really for? Another one is, where did you get this rule from? Who gave it to you? And the third question I would ask is, what would happen if you let it go? If you just let that old rule go and then write the new rules that honor your values, speak and honor of your authenticity, your truth, and things like my voice matters and it's okay to take up space. I am meant to take up space. That's why I was born. It is my birthright to take up space. Because no matter what space you're in, you're physically taking up space. You can't, even if you're floating, you're still taking up space. So allow yourself and don't wait for somebody else to allow that for you. Now, choice. Choice is important. Like I was talking about earlier, you're choosing to stay the same or you choosing change. When you become aware of a problem, when you become aware of what you can do, that means when you can say and voice your problem, your concern, your challenge, your struggle, that means there's clarity around what it is. And one of the most important things to change is clarity, because when you get clear on something, you can actually do something about it and you can change. So now that you have the most important ingredients that are involved with choosing, you can choose whether consciously or subconsciously to do something about it or not, to change or stay the same. The pain of staying the same or the pain of change? Which one do you think is temporary? And which one do you think is more permanent? You can pause and you can answer, because I will now answer. In my experience, the pain of staying the same, it felt eternal. It felt like it was permanent. While the pain of change was actually quite temporary. And the biggest pain of change was in the part that involves us to start, to begin. That's why they say the hardest part is to start. Starting is the hardest part. So once you start, that's where now that pain is gone. So which one is more temporary? Which one is more permanent? Which one do you choose? You got to choose your pain. You got to choose your battles, right? So do you want to choose to stay the same and continue living your life in this emotional state? Or do you want to change and tap into a whole different version of yourself that brings different reality, different way of living life? So which one do you want? The choice is yours. This is where with the choice, another one is you gotta set boundaries. And set boundaries without guilt, without shame. Breaking the mold, breaking through the mold means learning to say no without apologizing or without over explaining, without saying, without your reasons behind the no. Just say no or no, thank you. You got it. You can do it. No, I don't want to do that. Why not? I don't want to. Explain. I don't have to explain. No is a complete sentence. You already know this. I'm just reminding you of a lot of things that you already know. Practice setting boundaries that protect your energy and that align with your wants, with your needs, with your desires. And remember that setting boundaries and boundaries themselves are not selfish. Do you think it's selfish that the house that you have and the boundaries of the house are selfish? No, absolutely not. They're there for a reason. So everybody knows this is my property. This is where my property ends and yours begins. And we're going to respect those boundaries and not go and shit in somebody else's yard, right? Front yard, backyard, doesn't matter. You can put fences up, right? In the backyards, we usually have fences. So that way the animals, our pets, and things like that can go. And in many ways, it keeps other wildlife further away. If you're a corner house and you have fence, chances are you have more wildlife. And if you're more like in the middle of the row of houses, you'll have a lot less wildlife because they'll be in those edge ones, the corner ones. So boundaries aren't selfish. They're a form of self-love and self-respect and teach others how to treat you. If you don't have boundaries in place, that is a very clear sign that you do not respect yourself. And you know that to be true. I know that to be true. I and here's the interesting part. The truth about boundaries is that we don't know that a boundary needs to be put in place until in most cases it was crossed. Whether it was in this lifetime or the previous. And lifetime doesn't necessarily mean lifetime. So it means that in the previous relationship, it's a different life that or lifetime that you lived. You growing up with your parents, with your siblings, with this friend, with this teacher, with that teacher, with this adult, with that adult, with this co-worker, with that co-worker, with all these different people in your life that they taught you a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about the boundaries that needed to be put in place. And they taught you what you want, what you don't want. And now you're in this different lifetime. Maybe you've been with your partner for a long time, or you've been comfortable living in the life that you're living, and you allowed some of these boundaries to be crossed, or you threw some of them out into the wind. It's like, oh, we don't need this one anymore, right? But reality is that now you recognize that you do. And you also recognize that as you allow this boundary to be crossed and this boundary to be crossed or this one to be tossed to the wind or tossed somewhere outside or abandoned, that little by little you started to lose that respect for yourself. And you now realize that you just give many parts of yourself away and you allowed others to hurt you in all these different ways that crossed your boundaries, right? So now that you're aware, you can even make a list of the boundaries that you want to put in place and then tackle that list. I'm all about lists. It's part of what I love about organization and part of decluttering as well, right? Declutter your mind, get everything out, and you can see things clearly and you can then decide, okay, I'm going to go after this. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to go after this, after this, after this. And then check, 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 and get your shit together that way. Boundaries are important, and there's a choice to set them or not. Initially, it might not be a conscious choice, but at one point it will be. If you're complaining about something or someone, check your boundaries. Maybe that's what needs to be put in place. And not just the rewriting of the story of the message or the rule that you have within your good girl mold. You gotta also own your desires, identify your desires, what you want, why you want it, because often what happens, the good girl within you often suppresses her own wants, her own needs, her own desires for fear of being too much. And you got to give yourself permission to dream big, to speak up, to pursue and chase what lights you up. And not wait for permission, but give yourself that permission. Because also, think back of those times when you got the permission to do something and you still didn't feel like you were allowed to. Because the actual permission doesn't come from someone else, doesn't come from external sources, it comes from internal. You got to give that to yourself. Ask yourself, what do you truly want? What do you truly want? What do you want? Truly, really, honestly. Write it down. Then take one small step toward it, authentically, unapologetically, every single day. Every single day. Do it for 90 days and let me know where you are after those 90 days with all the things that are on your list that you want. Another part of the choice would be imperfection. You gotta embrace that shit. And you gotta remind yourself that perfection itself is an illusion. It doesn't exist. And it's something that for some reason, you believe that you will reach it and achieve it, but you never will. It will continue to grow and change and evolve, and you will continue to chase and chase and chase. Thank you, Ethan. Chase and chase and chase that perfection and become a better version of yourself, better version of yourself. Or you're, let's say, learning how to do some kind of a project. You're learning how to do it better and better and better and better each and every time. And it's perfection, it fuels the good girl mold. But like I said, it is an illusion. And you gotta allow yourself to show up as messy as you will show up and make mistakes, fail forward. Let that be your aspiration or inspiration that you want to fail. I'm going to do this and I want to fail. I'm going to fail one, two, 100, 1,000 times, but I'm going to learn a shit ton through my failures and eventually I will succeed. How many times did Thomas Edison fail? According to many, when it came to making the light bulb. He didn't see it as failure. He saw it as I discovered 999 ways of how not to invent a light bulb until I did. And he made a lot of discoveries through his so-called quote unquote failures. And he learned so much through that. That's a mindset that eludes a lot of us. But when you start to spend time with people like that, and even though these people are no longer here, but you're using them as guides, as mentors, as gurus in some ways, that you can learn from them and you can embody them and parts of them and their minds and live in those ways. Authenticity is about being real, is about being you. It is not about perfection. It's not about you being perfect. And it's about celebrating your success, your achievements, and your progress and your journey, and not just the outcome. It's about the journey itself and you having fun on that journey and not just looking at the end goal, at the end destination. It's just a reward in the end, which you might not even feel like a reward because you're just not enjoying the whole entire process. So in the end, I might feel like, just wasted all my time and energy. So another one with the good girl, it's the need for approval or external validation. You don't need anyone to like you. You don't need anyone to validate you. Yes, it is part of human nature. And yes, we do want that and we need it. And it's really about you don't want it from everyone. And you also don't want to be chasing, which means that if there's some people that you want that approval, the validation from, and you feel like you're constantly chasing, you're constantly begging for that approval, validation, let that go. Let that go. Find the people that will give it to you because we all need it. Every single human being needs approval, needs validation, needs to feel loved, seen, heard, and supported. We need that. Um, so we're not here trying to get rid of this human existence that makes you human, that makes me human. So instead of needing it and wanting it from everyone, narrow it down. One, two, maybe three people. And that's it. Everybody else can fly to the moon. Right? So limit the people that you want and need approval and validation from. And make sure that they're the right ones for you. Often you can get that through a coach, through a therapist, through even a mentor that you never actually meet, through quotes as well. You can get that approval, you can get that validation. It's still coming from a person that you might feel like it's for you. Meanwhile, it's something that created for themselves and maybe for some people in their life, but it feels for you because a lot of these things are, and a lot of these people and their wisdom and their knowledge and the quotes are timeless. So you can get that many other ways without chasing and chasing the people in your life that are simply not giving it to you. Just let them be, accept them as they are without you trying to change them in ways of, I need that validation, I need that approval from you. That's you trying to change them in ways that they might not want to be changed. They're happy with where they are, so let them be. Accept them as they are. And if you can't, let them go and set them free. Choose the easier path. You don't need anyone to like you. And the right people will respect and love you for being your true, authentic self, for you being true to yourself. Start valuing your own approval above all. Approve yourself. Give yourself that approval. When you act from your truth and you come and speak from your truth, you inspire others to do the same. Be the trendsetter. Be that leader that you are already. So step into your role, right? This is your reminder to do that. And then change. You gotta choose change and take the steps to change one at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time, consistently. Show up authentically and is it's an ongoing practice. It's not something that you do once. It's something that you do every single day. So what does showing up authentically means to you? What does it look like to you? What does it sound like to you? Maybe what does it smell like to you? What does it actually mean? Define that version. Visualize that version of your true authentic self. Tune into her. Tune into that inner voice and express yourself and your opinions honestly and honor your intuition. Honor yourself. Be bold enough to live in alignment with your values, with your purpose, with things that fulfill you, with your curiosities, with your passions, with what excites you, what motivates you. Live a life of adventure, even if it challenges the expectations of others. Or more like, especially when it challenges the expectations of others. If you get excited about, so in the family, there's usually one kid, it might have been you, or it might have been your sibling, that just like to get a rise out of you, or you like to get a rise out of your sibling. That was me. And with our kids, it's our son. So tap into that part that you have within you. Even if you weren't that child, you know how to do it best because you were on the receiving end. So tap into that part of yourself that is rebellious in some ways, that you allow yourself to show up as yourself, and especially when it challenges other people and it questions them and they say, no, don't do that. No, don't do this. Don't show up as your true self because it makes them uncomfortable. Be okay with other people being uncomfortable with your true authentic self. That's how you will help them to not only tap in and understand who they truly are, but to live life that same similar way. So the last thing I want to say, yeah, we already covered this, we covered that, is remember that breaking free from this good girl mold is not about rejecting kindness or passion or rejecting parts of the good girl mold that are powerfully amazing. It's about balancing those qualities with self-respect, love, courage, honesty, truth, and authenticity. You can still be a gentle, loving, sweet, and supportive woman while staying true to yourself. Because those things are true to who you are. And the world does need you. By you being here, you're shining your light and it lights up the whole world. Every one of you, every one of us humans lights up the world. And without that light, it would be dim. It's almost like just imagine there was no power, there was no lights on Earth, and someone is looking at this ball we call Earth, and they're looking at it, and all they see is auras, our lights. We would all look like Christmas tree. Like it would just look like a Christmas ornament full of lights, different colors, different shades. And if you listen, each one is making different sound, different song. And that is what I feel like the vision of our true authentic selves is, because we're allowing ourselves to shine as brightly and in the color and the shade of the color that feels right and authentic to us, and not be some watered down version that society expects you to be, expects me to be. Are there still going to be moments where you find yourself wanting to conform? Of course. But little by little, those moments will be fleeting. So that is all that I wanted to cover today for this topic of how to break free from the good girl mold and show up authentically. Looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. What was your biggest takeaway from today's podcast about this good girl? mold that you have within you. And most importantly, what are you going to do about it? Now that you have clarity with your takeaway, what action are you going to take to solidify this new realization, this new takeaway? Because you got clarity. Now the choice is yours to do something about it or not do something about it. And I'm inviting you to do something about it. And you get to choose and figure out what the doing is going to be, what action you're going to take. So thank you, everybody. Looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Even those of you who are silent watchers, just say hey, or let me know where you're coming in from and listening and tuning into this podcast. And welcome to all the new members. Hello to all the OG members. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. And I am honest when I say that it is my soul's purpose, the purpose of my soul, to help each and every one of you women to get your shit together. Because staying in that mental prison is crippling. It's debilitating, and it's paralyzing. It's literal hell. Because when we do break free from that mental prison, we do get to live the life and build the life that we learn how to be obsessed with. And we get excited every single day, waking up and feeling like, I can't believe this is my life. I'm so happy and I'm so grateful. Thank you. That's all I wanted from life. That's what life and living life as an adult I fantasized about. So that's it. That's all. That's all she wrote. Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Until next time.